You're watching Hellbent Holler live, part of the Hellbent Media Network. Grab a drink, settle in, and get ready for the show.
To take that down there. All right, everybody. Hello and welcome. Let us know you can see us and hear us, and we will get started. Check out chat for me, Mr. Joe.
Can you see and hear us? Just a simple yes or no.
Yay, nay. Yay, nay.
We're waiting. We're loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Awesome. Good to hear. All right, everybody. Welcome to Hellbent Holler Live. This is our weekly show that we do every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. My name is Jessie. This is Joe, and we are excited to have you guys here. We have a lot of our members in the house, a lot of people that we know and love right here in the chat. So it's really awesome to see everybody back and raring to go. I hope everybody has made it through all of their insane weather events that has just gone on over the past couple of weeks. We got hit by one a couple weeks ago, and we've managed to battle through the storm and the cleanup and everything to be here with you guys. I know that Catherine Gay dealt with a bunch of storms and everything, so I hope everybody is doing better.
I don't know if we had the sploots on here. They had a bad one. They had like a bunch of damage done. So hopefully that's it. Hopefully that's in the review mirror.
I'm hoping that's it, because my goodness, it's just been, and summer's just getting started.
That put us behind like immensely. We're just now, after this weekend, hopefully going to be caught up and getting back to stuff as usual.
Oh yeah.
We had to take this weekend to do an equipment refit and repair. We've lost a lot of stuff. It's crazy. The Manor, I don't even want to say the full name, the Manor, and then Brown Mountain operating in the weather out there took its toll. So, but I think we're rear geared up.
We're looking good.
We're working on the stuff that needs to get repaired, but we've got functional stuff and we're ready to get back in there.
Yeah,
so we're going to be, you're going to be seeing some more member live streams starting to come soon. You're going to see some more. We did a couple of big investigation videos back to back. We did the Manor, and then we're hit by the weather, and then we jumped into Brown Mountain. But Jesse's got some stuff she's working on right now on the pipe to get out to you guys.
Yeah.
So for those of you who stuck with us throughout this, we appreciate it. Like I said, again, I can't say, some people in here talking about they're still cleaning up. So it hit us. We run pretty lean on spare time as it is. We're usually pretty booked out to the hour.
And you usually don't really plan for a catastrophic weather event.
Especially, and we said it before, the Tennessee and Kentucky folks, we were just like, the Dooster had messaged me and they were getting like softball sized hails. So once it cleared them, I stopped paying attention to it. You know,
some people are having some connection. Yeah. Some people are having connection issues. Internet is wonky too. Yeah, everybody's having some weird. There's a lot of solar stuff going on too. So we're gonna make sure everything is
dogs and cats living together.
Everything's disconnected from the Wi-Fi and everything too. But we're okay here. I've been working on my computer all day, so hopefully this comes out loud and clear and everything is functional.
Yeah, we look good. I just logged on and checked it out.
Well, we always look good.
We always look good.
So I'm parsing through just tons of Brown Mountain Lights stuff. That expedition to do the Brown Mountain Lights was insane. There's so much footage because we use so many cameras and so many devices to do that. That's really going to be a nice, epic presentation.
It's got to be, because we lost a Phasm camera. We lost a GoPro. We lost the external audio recorder. So
yeah.
Thank you for being a member, Lady Wolf, best mod in the business. And if you'd like to support a couple of intrepid cryptid and paranormal hunters who are going through equipment at an astonishing rate.
The link is in the description below.
At an astonishing rate.
Oh, I forgot my Bob Lazar lamp.
Well, you did
for
forget
the
your Bob
show.
Lazar lamp.
I can send you to go get it if you want me to do the
Bob
intro.
Lazar lamp.
Get the remote with it as well that is laying next to it, because it's a necessary prop for today's episode. I want to welcome you guys to today's episode. We've talked all about all of this stuff here. We kind of do our little housekeeping stuff. I also want to remind you guys, while we're still doing housekeeping stuff, that we are going to be at the Tennessee Wildman and Cryptid Con. That's coming up in August. I believe it's August 10th. If you guys, it's just south of Nashville. I just want to make sure I'm getting this absolutely correct. So it's August 10th. It's going to be that Saturday all day. Starts at 9 a.m., goes to 5 p.m. I will be presenting at that. I have a new presentation that I'm putting together, and it's going to be awesome. But it's in McMinnville, Tennessee at the Milner Recreation Center, and that is south of Nashville. So if you can make it out to that, that would be awesome. Joe and I will be out there. And we are right now currently looking for a way to do some sort of little after party kind of thing. I want to, like with our hellbenders, whoever comes out, we'll go somewhere and maybe have like dinner and maybe just hang out. I think that would be a lot of fun. Any kind of hellbenders that come out and want to hang out, we're going to do that. I think that would be a blast. I'm talking about the Cryptid Con and Tennessee Wildman celebration, August 10th.
It's remote.
It doesn't?
To one more thing that doesn't work right now. What? Yep. All right. You can't even see it. All that trouble, and you can't even see the damn thing.
You can see it?
Yeah, just sit there with that.
Oh, so sad. Whatever. Anyway, welcome to the show. We're going to get into the topic of today's show. It is, Jesus, I'm so distracted by Bob Lazar. Okay. Who's not? That hunk.
You need something to attack that damn thing out. Keep going.
That hunk of man. So today we're going to talk about threats, coercions, and cover-ups. A lot of things have happened in the past few weeks that have really prompted us to look into this and kind of put this all together and talk about this. Everything has been kind of quiet in terms of UAP disclosure and where that's going and what's happening with that. The Schumer amendment kind of fell short of everything. So everybody kind of dropped off a little bit. We were getting so much headway on that situation. We had these hearings, and then it seems like everything is just fallen by the wayside, right?
Yes. And then all of a sudden, and I always just preface this whenever we start talking about this subject. You may not care two flips about the UAP stuff. You may be into Bigfoot. You may came to us because of Dogman, and that's why you into it. All of it's tied together. If for no other reason than when one of these topics starts to get credibility and like mainstream acceptance, and you start getting the regular person on the street talking about it, it does all these other topics good, because now all of a sudden people are like, well, what else is weird out there? These UFOs are real. Well, maybe those like crazy stories I heard about Bigfoot, maybe there's something to that.
I think you always bring that down to as akin to as above, so below. That if we've got this phenomenon going on up in the sky,
you got weird stuff in the sky. All of a sudden the idea that weird stuff is running around on the ground is not so strange to people. So all these people started to come out, whistleblowers. You had David Grush. You got all this stuff going on. And then all of a sudden it just seems like it's stalled. And I think that's because there's like warring factions in the government. And I think that the faction that's going for secrecy was caught a little off guard by the fact that normal people started taking this topic seriously. And then they kind of struck back. So I knew that there was some sort of like counteroffensive going on in the background to kind of like sweep everything back under the rug.
Well, if you think about these people who are basically legacy members of this hidden government, they don't want all of their work to be just thrown against the wall by full disclosure about this.
Yeah, especially
they've gone through great pains to hide this and conceal this from the population for years and years and years, decades of it.
And then there's the money aspect of it, the power aspect of it, and quite honestly, you don't quite get up to that level in government without being a little bit of a sociopath. And I think the power aspect of it, not necessarily just the personal power, but the fact that you're controlling the biggest secret in the world is probably very attractive, and it's very hard for a lot of those people to give up. But so I knew that there was something going on, and the disclosure ain't going to happen in a day. Okay. But when it does, again, I go to this. You may not care about UFOs. You better start, because I didn't care one way or another about them until I started realizing the bigger picture.
I would always be like, I hate aliens. I don't want to talk about aliens.
Personally, I don't find the topic interesting as the stuff that runs around in the forest. Okay. But you've got to pay attention to it, because right now, that's the locomotive that's pulling the rest of the train. Okay. And if we can get disclosure on that, who knows what else is going to be tucked into the corner of some of these documents. Okay. Dogman, UFOs, just other type of stuff, psi activity. I mean, the whole Skinwalker Ranch type stuff, where, yeah, UFOs are the main focus, but there's other weird stuff going on too. So right now, that's our best hope at getting some disclosure.
Of kind of opening the door to this kind of disclosure about things like Sasquatch or Dogman.
Thank you for that, Curtis Whitaker.
Yes, thank you,
Curtis. You so much. We're going to throw that towards, we had to operate in Brown Mountain. We were talking about the weather events. We had to operate in the rain, and that took a toll on our equipment, a pretty heavy toll, as a matter of fact. So thank you, Curtis. We're going to throw that towards getting another Phasm cam, getting another GoPro. That stuff doesn't work too well in the wet weather, but so we knew, so to get back on our subject, we knew that there was going to be like a counterstrike, and that's why maybe the information's kind of slow rolled.
Yeah.
You see a lot of frustration online, people going, you guys have been talking about this for a couple of years. I want to know now.
Just tell us already.
Yeah, exactly. And I understand the frustration level that goes on. I mean, we understand more than anybody else the frustration when you're dealing with this stuff. Whether it's secondhand online or first person running around trying to investigate it. It's a frustrating topic. It always has been, always will be. But
there's also the threat of, what people discuss is catastrophic disclosure. That suddenly, if they come out and they say everything, and they give us all the information, they give us all the dirt, that it's going to cause just some sort of societal collapse.
And it might, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there are people that have have hinted the fact that they know what's going on, and they're going, it's disclosed for a reason. It's not out as public knowledge. But the thing that has really been coming out lately is the David Grush, when he did his testimony before Congress, he hinted at the fact, well, he didn't hint, he came out and said that he had been threatened, his family had been threatened, that he had filed official complaints for those threats, and that was pretty much up there and out. And when they investigated the threats, they came out and went, there's some substance to these complaints that he has filed. Yeah. He has been threatened.
Yeah, there was professional retribution.
There was unquestionable and actionable information behind these complaints, and they were going, all right, he's been threatened. Well, then he's not the only one that's come out. Luis Elizondo came out and basically said, I'm not suicidal. I am in good health. I'm happy. I am going out of my way to conduct myself in a safe manner. So if I am found in a hotel suicided, if all of a sudden I die of something or I have a mysterious accident, just know that there's something else going on.
And you got to kind of look at this. What is the context for Lou Elizondo coming out with this? You know, he's coming out very directly talking about this. This is coming at the heels of what happened with the Boeing whistleblowers, where they came out
exactly and dropping like freaking flies.
Yeah,
man,
and I think this is right on the heels of that. So is that event, those two whistleblowers from Boeing, is that kind of instilling some sort of fear in Lou Elizondo that if he comes out and he talks about what he knows, is there a threat to his life at that point?
Well, here's the deal. And so then one of the other people that came out this week is Ross Coulthart, Australian journalist. I was going to say reporter, but reporter doesn't do him justice. He's a journalist.
He's a journalist,
flat out old school journalist.
Yeah, and he's on News Nation, and he's really done some hardcore work over the past.
He's the one who really publicized the little thread that there was a UAP, a UFO so big they couldn't move it, so they had to build a building over top of it to study it. And there's been a lot of conjecture about where he was talking about. But he came out at a seminar that he was speaking at this past week and flat out said, I just want it known that I have dead man switches all over the world, that if anything happens to me, everything I've been told and everything I've learned over the last few years is just going to come out all at once. So if anything happens to me, just to let you know that it's not one person, it's multiple. They're spread all over the world. Some you'll never suspect, but they have information that if something happens to me, it's all coming out. And I'm going, damn, man. I mean, so it's finally
go ahead.
Somebody's come out and said, not only are we being threatened, but I have things put into place to make sure that if something happens to me, it's all going to come out. So be aware of that before you decide to cut my brake lines. How did the Russians kill people? Polonium poisoning, stuff like that. And you know, it's I've often thought, why hasn't your boy here, Bob Lazar? Why hasn't he ever been whacked? You know what I'm saying? Even if he's just full of crap, he brought a lot of attention to stuff that they didn't want attention brought to. I think it's because he's got that, what is that element? What is the element number he's got?
Because if you're going to take a shot at the king, you best not miss.
You best not miss, because everybody has always gone, what is that, element 115? Nope. Is it 115? It is 115. But there's been rumors that he snuck out some element 115, and he's had it all along. He was raided by the FBI a few years ago, and the scuttlebutt was they were there looking for this 115, which regardless of what you think of Bob Lazar ain't stupid, okay? Bob Lazar is a smart guy. And the rumor is that the element 115 that he smuggled out of Area 51 is part of a dead man switch. Yeah. That if he is taken out, then somebody's going to come forward with all of that, including the 115, and make it public at that point. But I think it's crazy. It's crazy that you're starting to have, like, not only people that are just UFO centric, like Luis Elizondo, Bob Lazar, everybody like that. You're having journalists go, I've got this set up just so it's out there. That's crazy to me.
What's funny about this is Sue G said, geez, I hope some hardcore UFO nut doesn't try to knock him off just to get the info released.
Oh, no, that's a great point.
That's
a damn good point.
That's on my outline here when I was making notes about this stuff. I was like, I'll read you what my note is. Where's my note at? Shortcut to disclosure, kill Coulthard.
Oh, good Lord, you do have that on there. So
But what it makes you think, okay, you're threatening this, and it's like, oh, okay, so government officials are going to be like, you know what? He's got this dead man's wish. We better not do this because you don't know what he has. He could release it at any point. And then you've got the UFO nuts who are usually more nuttier than.
Yeah, they're leading the way on just. Thank you for that, Monica.
Thank you, Monica.
But that's a pretty damn good point both of you guys have there. Yeah. I mean,
it takes a psychotic woman to come to these conclusions.
Yeah, there you go. So, all right. But it's crazy that it's getting to that point. And Representative Luna, Congresswoman from Florida, she came out this past week during an interview and said that, and I love when people take nouns and turn them into verbs like that. She was like, I've been men in black.
So I do also want to say, when I was doing some cursory reading on some other stuff, and I was looking into Rep Luna's, Anna Paulina Luna's statement about being men in black. Be careful when you're Googling that, because that's going to have some not safe for work responses on Google.
Oh, I bet people went crazy with that.
That term is quite often used in the fields of the corn.
Yes,
so you want to be careful when you're Googling that.
Thank you for that, Tracy Crane.
Oh, thank you, Tracy.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
So, but anyway, I think she said that when they were looking into, and you did more research on this, but that when she was with Tim Burchett, they went to Florida to look into some of the Air Force claims.
Yeah.
That there was like a very well-known within the Air Force sighting that a few pilots had with a UAP.
And some people wanted to do some whistleblowing, which seems like it's pretty hazardous to your health right now.
Yeah, and
especially when it comes to, the aircraft industry.
But she said that the people that were coming forward to talking to them she said she thought they were CIA, being openly followed in a very intimidating manner. They weren't trying to hide it too much.
Initially, the meeting was canceled and then set back. And there was a lot of roadblocks put in the way of Burchett and Luna being able to go to the Florida Panhandle and actually meet with these whistleblowers. And then finally, when they got their meeting, there were people there that she described as CIA operatives shadowing the meeting, being there when they're really not supposed to be.
So so it's crazy. So this is coming out. These are people that are currently members of Congress and people that are pretty damn well world-renowned, like journalists, are coming forward saying that, yes, there is an intimidation that's getting apparently more and more blatant with this. And it's just wild to see. It's wild to see the stuff that's been bandied about, and it's always been called conspiratorial and just fake. And all that's just a conspiracy theory, or all that's just crazy talk. Well, now people are openly saying not only are there off-world vehicles, non-human intelligence, everything like that, they're saying there is a faction of the government that is to the point where they're having to do public statements that they're not suicidal, public statements going, if anything happens to me, it's all coming out. That's crazy to me. And you start to look at it and you go, well, one of the common arguments people have had is, well, nobody can keep it hidden for that long. Well, if you're killing people, yeah, you can. And again, if you go, well, they just wouldn't just come out and do that. The Boeing whistleblowers, how much more blatant could that be? I'm a person.
Of course, that's private industry, and private industry is famous for being, a lot more efficient than government.
Well, again, private industry is supposed to be who has these off-world vehicles and these alien bodies.
That's true.
It's supposed to have been shuttled off in order to get around any sort of like Freedom of Information Act, or to try to circumvent the congressional oversight. They've given it to private industry. And like you just said, private industry will whack you. You know what I'm saying? Big business will whack you quicker.
It's just business.
It's just
nothing
business.
Personal. It's just
business.
On the flip side of things, though, when people ask Gary Nolan, who is someone that we highly respect and take his opinion very, very seriously, people ask Gary Nolan, hey, because he's a part of this whole group of people that are pushing for this disclosure and doing this work on this front. People ask Gary Nolan, were you threatened? And he's like, no, absolutely not. I've not been threatened at all. And another thing to think about too, and I don't want to be too, let me do the devil's advocate here, okay? You also have to remember that Lou Elizondo does have a book coming out called Imminent. He does have a book coming out, and that is one hell of a way to start a press tour.
Yeah, but at the same token, if it had just been him, I would possibly be open to that being a possibility.
Correct, yeah.
But it's not just him right now all coming forward with this stuff all at once. I think that if nothing else, Coulthard's, again, a journalist, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's a journalist. And yeah, he knows how to sell a story, okay? But when you were coming out making a statement just going, if anything happens to me, I've got a dead man switch. It's all coming out. That's a pretty strong statement for a normal person to make. You know what I'm saying?
I'm also wondering with Coulthard, he is a journalist. He does have journalist ethics of what he's doing. He conceals his sources. Does that dead man switch also include revealing or burning his sources at that point?
Well, that's the thing, is that he's often said that he's not going to do anything that would compromise any of his sources. Because also here at the same token, if he did, nobody's going to come forward to him.
Right.
But I just don't see where this helps him in any way with anyone to come out and make a statement that strong. And that's an out there statement. That's an out there statement to do for like a normal person who also does things that are non-UFO related.
Right. And he doesn't have a new book coming out. So that's a good point too.
So I just don't think, again, you never know 100% with anything. I just don't think that's the case. I think that what's happening is you're starting to see desperation on both sides.
Yeah.
You're starting to see the gatekeepers of this information get to the point where they're going, again, the Boeing stuff, I don't care who you are. That's pretty blatant and in your face.
Right.
That those whistleblowers, something out of the ordinary happened.
For sure.
And we're not going to get too much into that because we'll get shadow banned again.
We've already said sewer slide a lot.
But I think that a lot of this stuff is just done blatantly out in the open because they're banking on most people dismissing it as just being a crazy conspiracy theory. Okay. That's what they're banking on. And I think that every day there's more and more people that go, maybe this isn't so crazy after all. Maybe there's something here. And right now it's a seesaw. And I think that finally when enough weight gets on that side of people that just go, well, I'm not going to instantly dismiss this because my entire life I've been told this was crazy. I think when you get enough people, that center of gravity is going to turn, man. And I think that all of a sudden then that when people are slipping in their bathtubs or, falling down the steps just by themselves, I think more and more people are going to go, no, that wasn't an accident.
Suddenly acquiring a shellfish allergy.
Exactly right.
So, you're talking about this balance between, say, the shadow government and these journalists or these people that are digging into this. It almost seems like there's this UAP Cold War going on.
That's exactly.
And you're not sure who is going to launch the nuke.
I don't know if it's a Cold War anymore. I think it's starting to get hot. And I think that, you always hear the term catastrophic disclosure. And people have attached different meanings to that term, catastrophic disclosure. You've got just disclosure where somebody from the Pentagon or the White House comes out and goes, all right, we've got an announcement to make. This is what's going on. The planet's been visited by non-human intelligences. This is what we know. And that may or may not be true at that point, but that's controlled disclosure. That's where they're steering the car at that point.
Yeah.
You've got catastrophic disclosure, which is just where it all hits the fan and it all just comes out and there ain't nobody controlling it. And people have said, well, in one way that could be because of the phenomenon itself. If these non-human intelligence themselves just saw the proverbial land on the White House lawn The craft comes down or whatever it is, lands on the White House lawn, middle of the daytime, there ain't no hiding it. The other catastrophic disclosure is where someone in the government with the goods, not secondhand stories, not I saw a document, not I heard from somebody who knows.
We're talking about like an alien foot in their hand.
Somebody's got a body on ice or just goes, this is where the bodies are, go there right now before they move them. Somebody who comes out that's got the goods who just goes, chips fall where they may. If I end up in prison, I end up in prison, but the people need to know, bam, and they get a platform.
Yeah.
They get out in front of enough people, and then it just snowballs from that point.
So we're looking for that Fight Club UAP disclosure guy that's just
they
going to
blow up the servers and
Yeah.
they just go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we need right now.
Nice.
So, and you know what? But I mean, the intimidation portion of it, this has been going on forever. There's always been like Men in Black. You know, the government showed up afterwards and threatened me. And again, that's always just been considered part of the UFO or even Bigfoot and Dogman lore.
Yeah.
You know, that people have shown up. You know, you've got the Men in Black with UFOs. We've talked in the past, the Men in Plaid.
We have brought that up. We've not talked about the Men in Plaid, I want to say, in a couple of years. And I haven't really heard anything about them in a couple of years either.
It hasn't really come out that much.
Because like for a minute there, we were hearing all about the Men in Plaid, like all the time. Oh my God. There was a guy who had a Bigfoot encounter and he was starting to talk about it. And then all of a sudden he was visited by these two guys who were obviously agents of some kind, but they had beards. And instead of being like Men in Black, as described in black suits, they were men with beards and plaid shirts. There was a larger one and a smaller one. And they had kind of a good cop, bad cop dynamic where one guy was really friendly and the other guy was kind of aggressive and it was kind of, it almost seems like a trope when you kind of think about it in that way. And it seems like a trope that was adapted to the Bigfoot phenomenon.
It's like somebody was reading a story about the Men in Black with UFOs and went, oh, well, that happens too in the Bigfoot world, and then just made this up. But the stories, there were multiple of them.
Started getting consistent.
They were getting very
parties.
consistent. Exactly. They were very consistent that these guys would show up, and they were with different government agencies, okay? The Forestry Service, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of the Interior, and Fish and Wildlife, you know, generally they were with a federal agency though, and they would come out and they would basically, one guy would come on real strong and basically threaten you and tell you you were going to end up dead or your life ruined if you talked about it. And the other guy would be like, listen, you know, nobody wants to see it get to that point. We're trying to look out for you as well. You know, classic good cop, bad cop. And again, you just thought that was part of the Bigfoot lore.
Yeah.
Maybe something that somebody made up that caught legs. And now you're going, probably not. You know what I'm saying? If they're covering up the weird stuff in the air, why would they not be covering up the weird stuff on the ground? Okay. I think a lot of it, they rely upon public ridicule.
Yeah.
Has been their biggest shield on that. And you know what? I think that they've steered that.
And even us now going, wow, this sounds like a trope.
Yeah,
know?
Exactly. Well, again, here's the deal.
Maybe play into the trope. And that's what makes it so.
Well, I mean, you start to look at it like this. Does the government go in and actually encourage people that are very hostile to this subject to act in a hostile manner?
I would assume they probably do.
I would assume they probably do. Because guess what? That's an easy thing to do.
And that's what they did. What was it in the 1960s? That was a big thing is the government and then foreign governments too would also infiltrate these UFO groups. You know, back in the 1950s, 1960s, basically after Roswell, these regional UFO groups started popping up. And these people were doing they were doing God's work when it comes to UFO information. They were gathering up all of this information and they were doing some serious research.
In the days before the internet, so it's all compartmentalized.
So it's very
not
difficult.
as easy, and they're out there just pounding the pavement, getting information.
They're not watching YouTube videos and saying, oh, I've done my research. They are like looking at microfiche. They're pounding the pavement. They're interviewing witnesses. They are doing all of this. But, it has been well documented that our government, as well as foreign governments, namely the Russian government, was sending in operatives into these groups to disseminate misinformation.
And to stir up infighting?
Yes.
To start turning public sentiment against the people who seemed like they were the closest to the truth, to get them exiled out of the group. And like I said, right now, the same stuff they did back right then, you see it in play right now. You know what I'm saying? And you have to wonder how much of that is just the toxicity of man. You know what I'm saying? That just these people, we were talking about it before.
You just got very lofty.
Yeah, I did. Well, it's built in. You see this a lot of times, and I go, is this person trying to debunk this topic because they legit are trying to spread what they think is the truth, or are they just trolling because they see somebody enjoying it and they want to kill that joy? You know.
Yeah.
So I think some of that goes on, but I think that some of the more effective, overly skeptic people, there might be an agenda behind that, even if they're not aware of it. Maybe they're subtly influenced by a third party to keep doing this because it's a force multiplier. It's not really that expensive for the government to do. They know that if they can get this person and they can get their voice amplified and then get them extremely energetic and trying to go after this stuff, nobody wants to be in a topic where you're attacked constantly.
Right.
And unfortunately, that happens a lot with this. And how many people have been driven out of this just by people who have just made their lives a living hell,
right?
Because they
and that's definitely going on right now.
That goes on right now, like you believe.
In the Bigfoot world, in the dog meat world, that's definitely going on right now. In addition to that, going into these groups and spreading misinformation and kind of pushing people in certain directions. This kind of leads me to a tale of two dicks.
Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. Are we still live?
Are we still live?
I don't know. Right.
This kind of leads me to a tale of two dicks. There's two dicks that we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a good dick and Richard Dolan.
I love Richard Dolan.
And we're dealing with bad dick, Richard Doty.
I hate Richard Doty. So yeah.
Bad guy. Okay.
Bad guy.
When it comes to somebody infiltrating these groups, or not so much infiltrating the groups sometimes, but finding someone who is reporting something going on, i.e. Paul Benowitz. Paul Benowitz was witnessing what he thought was extraterrestrial UFO activity. And Richard Doty came in, who was an operative of the government, came in and said, well, you know what, Paul, maybe you are seeing this.
So
but
for
it
the
was
people that aren't familiar
craft.
with this, people that aren't familiar with the story, Benowitz lived next to an Air Force base, I believe it was. And he was seeing strange craft and strange lights at night. And he was involved, and I can't remember what discipline he was in, but he had a scientific instrument company. See, he was electronically inclined, and he did that for a living. He started picking up what sounded to him to be alien transmissions at night in and around this Air Force base. Turns out they were testing like top secret craft. It was mundane technology, but it was cutting edge, and it was stuff that we didn't want getting out. So what they did is to basically get him off the trail is that they sent a guy by the name of Richard Doty to go over and tell him, basically encourage him in the belief that this was alien technology to kind of steer him away from the fact that it was experimental aircraft. And they ruined this guy's life.
They took it so far. And if you look at a Richard Doty interview right now, he'd be like, well, I was just doing my job. It's one thing to kind of tell somebody, okay, yeah, you're seeing this, and kind of leave it alone. It seems like that Richard Doty took some sort of sick pleasure in ruining Paul Benowitz's
you got to enjoy.
life.
You can't take a normal person
for this long
and go, hey, there's this upstanding member of the community who thinks this. He's a family man. He's got a business that employs like local citizens. He's involved in this community. We need you to kind of like drive him to the point of suicide because he's too close to something we don't want him to be close to.
They convinced Paul Benowitz that his wife was an alien operative. He had a severe mental breakdown. And they admitted, Richard Doty admitted.
They're just very nonchalant about it.
Very nonchalant.
It was national security.
To convince him his wife was an alien operative. Paul Benowitz was actually committed to a mental hospital for observation because he was suicidal. And he was stark raving mad and had a complete mental breakdown. But he was committed for an entire month because of that.
Thank you for that, Ray. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And then Ghetto Yeti, Mirage Men's a good Dottie documentary. Yeah, but here's the deal. This has been going on. It's as open as you can get. They have admitted to messing with UFO groups back in the 50s and the 60s. If you don't think they're doing it right now, those and I'm sure there's some groups that meet that are doing some good, but a lot of this is online.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that a lot of the online strife is not directed or at least encouraged somehow?
And
by
it's
the
so
government?
much easier now because all you have to do is join a Reddit or jump into a YouTube live stream chat.
I mentioned earlier that Reddit is like the best and like worst thing that's ever happened to the internet. And if you get onto especially some of the UAP, UFO subreddits, and they'll even go when certain topics start getting discussed here, we get an influx of brand new accounts that all have pretty much the same talking points to basically ridicule the main like participants in the conversation, to ridicule them offline, and then they just drop off immediately afterwards, all of these new member accounts and everything like that.
But how easy is it to be a disinformation or misinformation agent at this point? You can sit there and eat macaroni and cheese and just spread this, you know, in the blue box.
What's the pay rate?
I don't know.
Like benefits?
Are there benefits?
I don't know. Right? So
I think the macaroni and cheese speaks for itself.
they're gonna know when they tune in next week, and we're sitting here eating mac and cheese, and we're going, "It's all BS, guys.
Yeah.
This is what we figured out."
And they'll be like,
all a lie.
But it'll be the shells and cheese, so they know that we got the good deal.
We got the good deal.
The good deal.
But
and I hate to leave this dick conversation without mentioning
absolutely. Why would we?
Without mentioning the good dick, Richard Dalton, who has gone through painstaking efforts to chronicle all of these cover-ups from 1941 up into the present day.
And I don't agree with Richard Dolan on a lot of stuff. I don't agree with him. He thinks that the UFO phenomenon in antiquity is like overblown. He thinks that it didn't happen as much. He thinks it's mostly an invention of the modern age. And I would strongly disagree with him on that. And I'm not the only one. Jacques Vallée, other people take a different stance. However, that does not, again, here's the beautiful thing. You can disagree with somebody on certain points and then just go, that man's invaluable to the like UFO movement. And I think eventually when the UFO movement gets proven, I think he's going to be invaluable to some of the other weird stuff as well.
Ghetto Yeti says that Dolan is way too nuts and bolts.
He is, but at the same token, you've got to admit that he's doing good work. You've got to have those
types of people in there.
You need everything, and he is somebody who is tireless, and he is a good spokesman. I don't agree with him on everything, but I don't need to. You don't need to agree with us on everything. You don't need to agree. We have to all remember at the end of the day, we're all going towards the same goal. And if we have some differences, that's all right. It's not the end of the world, man. So,
I think I want Bob to look at me, not you anymore.
Yeah, have Bob look at you.
Yes,
so
appreciate it. Cool. I just distracted myself. Somebody did say Helmet Holler is sponsored by Kraft.
I know, just put that up.
But there is no spacecraft. So, oh yes. Don't you love it? I think we can end the show there. No.
Just done. Thank you, folks. We're out.
Okay, I did make a weird connection too while I was kind of working on some stuff. So I'm kind of fleshing out some of these ideas where we're talking about the men in black, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about the men in plaid, okay, which is basically like the cryptid version of the men in black.
Yeah.
I was thinking in some of these stories you hear about the men in black, you hear them as these are people, they're CIA agents, they're government operatives who are now choking me.
Yes.
But they're government operatives, they're dudes in black suits, and they just come and threaten you, right? Sometimes you get accounts that the men in black are actually these non-human entities, that they act akin to human or some sort of creature kind of mimicking human behavior. They also have tiny little nostrils. They have no lips. It looks like it's crudely drawn on lips in a way, and they're almost alien within
They
themselves.
set off people's uncanny valley response extremely strongly. So
you hear stories about that made me kind of think about with these men in plaid, you hear these stories about flannel man. And this is something that Timothy Renner kind of talks about all the time, is this concept of flannel man, which is kind of a supernatural entity in a flannel shirt that people see in these situations. Could that kind of be akin to this alien men in black?
Well, I mean, it's the thing is that men in black, like you said, there's a duality to it. There's one that seems to be mundane humans who have government backing. The other one is they're more of a paranormal alien type thing. Possibly so. I mean, the what Jesse's talking about is the men in plaid thing. It's almost like a hat man type of phenomenon. For those of you that are familiar with that, people that are outwardly pretty normal, although sometimes there's some physical strangeness to them. Maybe like, their eyes are all black, their eyes are all white, their eyes glow, they're exceptionally tall, whatever, but they're generally bearded men with the one similarity is always they're wearing a plaid, like a flannel shirt, flannel man. Timothy Renner from Strange Familiars talks about it.
Yeah.
And I've thought about that occasionally whenever we talked about this. Is it just a commonality between them that they, to veer off quickly here, is it the plaid is maybe the only link between the two of them. And maybe you don't hear about the Bigfoot men in plaid anymore because maybe that story got out too quickly.
And they had to change tactics.
And they had changed their tactics a little bit. That it's going on, but it's not the two guys in the flannel shirts. And maybe
it's a men in cravats.
Yes, it's a men and two men in cravats.
Two men in cravats. If you have a Bigfoot encounter and you've been threatened by two men in cravats, please contact us at hellbentholler@gmail.com.
But I just think that the longer this goes on, so many stuff that like normal people, not weirdos like us, have dismissed, it's coming out that it's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you know as much as we can know that there is an intimidation, a coercion, and just a cover up going on that is far beyond just somebody at a podium standing there denying that anything's happening.
Right.
There's a physical threat element to it. There is a physical danger element to it. And it's happening to just not just that simple farmer who claims he saw a craft set down on the South 40, Now it's happening to people who are about as high in their chosen professions as you can go.
Yes.
And you're getting it to people who are sitting members of Congress and people who have appeared on mainstream network television news shows are now coming out and telling you, I'm not suicidal. I don't want to kill myself. I'm okay. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's getting to the point now where if you don't think that pretty much the sky's the limit on what's possibly real, you're not paying attention, And for those UFO people, if they're not going, maybe the subject of like Sasquatch and Dogman, maybe there's something to it, or normal people going, I always thought that, you have that giggle factor that goes along with this stuff that they've couched. They want you to think that anybody who talks about Sasquatch or UFO or Dogman or any of that, they're toothless hillbillies or they're below average intelligence or just it's all kind of snicker behind our hands at this person. You're starting to see how that's been encouraged. And now that ain't working, they're up in the ante to the point that a lot of the main players are starting to like fear for their lives. Yeah. And if they're going to do that to somebody that's so much in the public eye, you think they're not going to do that?
That has already put out a lot of information, that they're already spilling. And that's the thing is, like with Bob Lazar, he started talking to kind of to cover his ass.
He came out to basically go, if I don't get in front of a TV camera right now,
they're going to take me out.
I'm a goner.
Yeah.
So, you always hear people go, Bigfoot, where's the body? Where's the body? Well, there can't be a cover up. And because I've questioned that before. I'm going, where's the outlier? Where's the mistakes? People make mistakes, Well, maybe we didn't get to this one in time. But it sounds like there's a faction of the government that's pretty well funded, pretty well organized, got some people involved in it, that it sounds like that's their job, is to make sure that this stuff doesn't get out.
Yeah. Or at least control the flow of information.
And I'm always like, well, the flow of information, it's a floodgate nowadays. Everybody's got a telephone. Everybody's got the ability to live stream something. Everybody's got the ability to, connect with the greater world in just seconds.
Instantly.
But here's the deal, is that we know that whatever we see commercially available, the government is several generations
for sure
ahead on that.
Yeah.
Maybe before cell phones became publicly available, the AI that government is using to monitor communications was so good that they can nip anything like that in the bud.
Mm-hmm.
You plug a Sasquatch digging out your cheese rinds from your front trash can,
That's a callback.
and you go to live stream it, and maybe they've already identified it, blocked the signal, and then somebody's dispatched to collect the body and then tell you that it's a good thing that you don't talk about this. And if they get the feeling that you do want to talk about this, maybe they're carting 2 bodies away that night.
So we only had maybe one little window of like the Wild West when it came to information, because you, like your scenario could probably be in effect right now.
Mhm.
But you had like a period where it just wasn't there at that point.
Yeah.
So you just had one small window of like Wild West of information when it comes to this topic.
Mm-hmm. And we...
Oh, first of all, Karen Faust, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Karen. So, and thank you and your husband, Jerry. We greatly appreciate it. And hello, Jerry. But I don't know, man. Like I said, because I've always just gone, especially the Sasquatch phenomenon, that it's got to be a lot weirder than just an ape running around the woods. And I still stand by that. I still think that if that is happening, it's very rare. It's in very limited areas. That's not the greater phenomenon that people are seeing all over the world. But, and part of it is that I never really thought that a cover-up could be so perfect that nothing would slip out. But now I'm listening to this stuff and I'm going, damn, man, in a way it's so blatant. Maybe it is. Maybe there is a certain factor to that, and you tie that in with how quickly the public's attention shifts from story to story. I always go back to that monkey in Texas, that monkey that was running around that Texas neighborhood, attacking pets, attacking children. That was a local story. Then it went regional, then it went national, and then it disappeared. And I'm going, what the hell happened to the monkey? Did they catch the monkey? Did they kill the monkey? Did something happen to what happened to the monkey? This is not a news story that you would expect to just vanish like it did, but it did. And
we had our very own monkey on the loose in South Carolina recently.
Oh,
and
we did have a monkey.
As soon as that happened, it was in Walterboro, South Carolina. As soon as that happened, I'm on the phone calling Joe, because any kind of loose monkey story, I have to immediately get on the horn to Joe and give him the details of it. So in Walterboro, South Carolina, a monkey of unknown type got out, and they were saying it was trying to attack people, trying to attack animals. Stay inside your home. Do not approach the monkey.
Do not approach the monkey. The whole situation is just bananas.
And like
I just blew your mind right there. Anyway.
Do not approach the monkey. Situation is bananas. He's going ape shit out here. So what happened with that is we got 2 different resolutions to the story. It went on for a couple of days. And then all of a sudden they're saying, oh, the monkey has been reunited with his owner.
A happy ending.
Yes. And then a couple hours later, the monkey has been terminated.
Good God.
So nobody knows if the monkey was terminated or reunited with its owner. And of course, everybody's commenting on all these stories. And then one outlet is saying one thing, one is saying the other. So you have a lot of people who can now discuss all these things and just keep it alive in the news, but it's gone now. And this was a week ago we were talking about the monkey?
Yep. And now what's crazy is that if you try to look for, and you guys know, I've talked about it in the past, that there was they were describing it as a monkey was loose in a Texas neighborhood.
Suji.
And it was for loose monkey repellent spray. Thank you, Suji. And I started. Good Lord. Anyway.
Monkey be gone.
So, sorry, there's all sorts of great comments coming in right now.
I know, I'm dying.
Let me start that. So, and it was and they were literally going, and it became national news very quickly. And it was a concerted effort to get this monkey. This monkey's attacking children. It's attacking pets, blah, 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 blah. And then nothing. And of course, doing what we do, I want to hear about the monkey. Was it a monkey? Was it something else? Even if you're not into like Bigfoot or cryptid stuff, it seems like that's a story that people would.
Everybody's got an interest in the loose monkey.
It's a story for the masses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's got pretty much it's got appeal to pretty much whoever you are. That story's going to appeal to you. But guess what? It faded from the news. And I looked hard, man. I even said, you know what? Even if the national news cycle has moved on to the next story, for the people that live in that area, it's a big deal. You'd want to know what happened to this. Can little Bobby play outside? Is he going to get attacked by the monkey? You know, and just nothing ever happened to it. And I'm going, damn, man. And I've used this analogy before. So, again, somebody gets up in the middle of the night, empty their trash, like we talked about. There's a Bigfoot rummaging around in it. You know, they've got a rifle leaning outside their door. You know, their children have been attacked by 30 to 40 feral hogs. Remember that meme? Anyway, they grab the rifle and plug it and kill it and call their neighbor over, going, "You've got to see what I just killed in the front yard."
Yeah.
Neighbor comes over and goes, "Holy crap, you killed, that's a Bigfoot. I can't believe this." And then people start to come over and they look at it and they're going, "Oh my Lord, it's a Bigfoot. You've killed a Bigfoot." And then all of a sudden people show up in trucks.
They're gathering up.
And they grab the guy who shot him and they take him inside and they curtain everything off from everybody. And they just go, "Listen, it's a gorilla that escaped from a private collector. And, you know, it's an endangered animal. But, you know, we're going to be understanding with the situation. We're not going to charge you with killing this gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're gonna take it easy on you because we understand, but we'd like you to stop talking about it because we don't want it getting out there that we didn't charge you for this." And the guy's going, "It's not a gorilla, it's a Bigfoot. I killed a Bigfoot. That's not a gorilla. I know what a gorilla looks like." And they go, "Oh, let's walk out here and look." And there's a dead gorilla there. They have swept the Bigfoot body up. You think the government couldn't? They probably got gorilla bodies on ice, man. Do you know what I'm saying?
Just ready for this.
Just ready to go for this situation.
I think they'd probably do a bear before they do a gorilla.
I'm sticking with gorilla.
I mean, that's the same thing that everybody says, "Oh, you saw Bigfoot, you misidentified a bear."
But
it's like, I know what a bear looks like.
But here's the deal.
I know what a gorilla looks like.
Now you've got people going, "No, I saw it. It's a Bigfoot." And if they talk about it online, people are going to go, "Look at these country bumpkins. They saw a bear, they saw a gorilla, they saw whatever, and they're convinced it's Bigfoot."
Gorilla murderer.
What gorilla murderer? Exactly. Yeah. You'd get vilified in the media and you'd shut up.
Killer of the gorilla.
The gorilla killer.
The gorilla killer.
Cryptic Castaway said they had a kangaroo on the loose not too long ago. Never heard what happened. How does a story like that disappear? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you want a resolution to the wild kangaroo because kangaroos can punch you in the face.
Kangaroos are violent creatures. Yeah. And it seems like you would want to know what happened with it. And again, I understand the national news cycle is very brief, but you would think that you'd want to know locally what happened.
Yeah.
Okay? Where's the all clear, the killer monkey's gone? Okay. And I'm looking at it going, damn, man. I mean, if there's a cover up, it doesn't take a lot of energy or effort to keep it going because most people are so hardwired to just instantly just poo-poo it and naysay it and go, "That's ridiculous." And then if you try to go, "Well, no, actually it's not. The guy that shot this thing says, I can't believe you believe in it too. Good God almighty." And people stop talking about it because they don't want that
stigma.
Because hardcore, and I can't even call them skeptics because it's not skeptical. It's you've got to debunk it at all costs. Those people they're unhinged. They're unhinged. They're absolutely unhinged.
The professional skeptic class.
The professional skeptic class is unhinged. They're tireless. They are the vitriol that they come forward with and the personal attacks and just everything like that. Most people can't deal with that, and it shuts the conversation down.
I think a zealot of any type is going to be unhinged, you know?
Exactly right. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's weird. It's just that you have to, as a person, you have to occasionally stop and go, are we getting too caught up in the narrative? Let's take a step back.
Yeah.
You know, let's take a step back from this. We do that all the time. We go, all right, listen, let's not get caught up in the thrill of the moment just because we've seen weird stuff before and we know that weird stuff exists.
Let's assess this situation
on its own merits. And just because we have seen stuff doesn't mean that what we're dealing with right now is weird. And that's healthy, I think. You know what I'm saying? That's healthy.
That's one of the most healthy things we do.
Yeah. That is probably the only healthy thing that we do.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, everything. It's the only health we got in our lives. It's just that little bit of let's take a step back and not run with the narrative. But that's different to just going, we are now going to debunk this no matter how hard.
Or on the flip side, everything is a Sasquatch. Everything. There's a Sasquatch in my living room. There's a Sasquatch, you know, if I hear a noise outside, I live in a neighborhood. Oh my God, there's a Sasquatch tapping on my window. Like everything is not It's that all or nothing. Like I said, it's the zealots on any side of anything.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I don't get too hung up when somebody like hoaxes and is busted for it. Yeah, it's not good. But guess what? We have seen things that we thought were true before that other people put out that ended up not being true. And guess what? It ain't the end of the world.
Someone attempted to rope us into a hoax situation. They were sending us photographs. I had done multiple phone interviews with this individual. They referred to me from another researcher. And, he was like, I think this is legit. And so I talked to this witness several times. I mean, for hours, several times. Seemed nice enough, seemed believable enough. I was still skeptical about all of this because you have to there's a danger factor as well, because this witness lives in a very, very dangerous part of the country, in a dangerous area we'd have to travel to. But the story was hot. It was a hot story.
It was a hot story.
It was like this.
And we spent a lot of time on it.
A lot of time. This story, if true, would be the biggest thing you have ever seen or heard of. Okay.
And guess what? It wasn't true.
It wasn't true. And
guess what? You do. You go, that one's not true. That doesn't mean the next one won't be.
Yeah. So, this person tried to rope us into coming up there and doing an investigation. I don't know if it was to put you in a basement for 10 years and put me down a coal
People
shaft.
are always kind of trying to get me in that basement, man. I'm always aware of that.
Or if it was just to
I'm a hot basement commodity. I'm telling you, man. So.
Try to make fools of us or something like that. But my spidey senses were tingling about this whole thing. And I was like, something's not right. So I kind of cut off communication for a while. And then the other researcher just
be careful with this story too. We don't want getting out too much.
Yeah, just contacted us in the middle of the night and sent us kind of proof that this was not.
But my thing is this: is that you don't get too big deal. There's been hoaxes with this topic. Some of them are just people looking for attention. Some of them are red herrings put down to get you frustrated and get you to give up. Don't get frustrated and don't give up. If somebody hoaxed you, oh my Lord, somebody put an AI generated Facebook photo up that it's supposed to be a Sasquatch in 1816 and a few people fell for it.
Yeah.
Who cares, man? It's going to happen. Guess what? It's going to happen tomorrow.
I do have to take a moment to talk about this comment here. Jesse, do you have elven genes? You connect well with Mother and have insights and foresights to most aspects in the atmosphere.
Who is Mother that you're connecting with?
I don't know, but I like this comment.
Okay, then.
Because there's nothing better than having the elven genes.
The elven genes.
When I'm beset by a hobbit here, as you're 6.5 feet.
Yeah, exactly. This is surviving the strange. How many of the tactical companies went flannel plaid a few years ago? Yeah, they did. It was the most common thing. If you were plain clothes, it was a go-to, especially with a GovX account. Yeah, that's a damn good point that I didn't think of.
Yeah.
But it is.
Joe and I wear a lot of 511, and every fall and winter they come out with 50 plaid shirts for men and women. But they're still tactical, and you can get discounts for being a government employee.
So, but yes, I don't know. I just think that the more that comes out with all of this stuff, the UAP stuff, that if you look at it closely enough, it ties in with the same stuff that's happened in the Sasquatch community, happened in the Dogman community, witnesses, researchers, believers, everything like that. The more that's coming out, I just start going, man, it's all real. It's if not all of it, a lot of it's real. Okay. And the wool has been pulled over everybody's eyes.
Yeah.
And even a lot of people that are involved in this stuff, it's entertainment for them. Okay. They're disassociated from the possible reality of it. It's like following Marvel movies or Star Wars or Harry Potter. You like all the creatures and, there's like a pantheon of characters that you get invested in. And, I like this one. And, and that's kind of what for a lot of people. And guess what? There's nothing wrong with just taking enjoyment out.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But you have this moment where you step back and you just go, it's overwhelming to just take a second and just go, damn, a lot of it's real. and you don't know how much of it's real.
Yeah.
We know a good portion of it's real just from our own experiences and the witnesses that we've spoken to. But then you start going, well, there's no way they could do that. There's no way they could. And then you start going, yeah, they could keep pretty much anything quiet at this point.
When it gets really bizarre is when there are real events going on, and then there's there's real events and real things happening, and then there's just a mix of fakery thrown in there.
And that happens all the time.
Yes,
and I think that
in many different disciplines.
Be careful with what I say this right now.
He's gonna be here.
There are cases that have gotten. Damn, I got to be careful right now. Let me say this: when Martin Groves came forward and his account, we have had people that just poo-pooed the whole dogman idea, and then they hear Martin's account or they meet him and speak to him, and then they come back to us and go, I don't know, man. I guess it's real, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? I noticed that after his account came out, Joe Barger's another one. That's just you meet Joe and you hear his story and you go, damn, something happened.
We met Joe
at
the Dogman Conference in Paris, Tennessee.
And you don't
long before he discussed it with anyone.
But you hear that and you go, even if you're a non-believer, even if you're somebody who just thinks the idea is ridiculous, you meet those guys, you hear their stories, you look them in the eye and you go, damn, this something happened here. But I noticed that after that, and it might have just been because the subject got popular, but I noticed that there were some stories that got some public attention that you just look beneath the surface and you go, no way in hell that happened. That's just not, how did this particular story get out there so quickly? Is somebody trying to lay some red herrings here and try to hope that like Joe and Martin's story gets lost in the mix of stuff that is pretty easily proven to not be
or when
true?
That story collapses or blows up on itself,
then you start assuming that it's all fake at that point. You start, because again, we have had people that did a complete 180 after talking to Martin Groves. And these are people who are, I'm shocked that something changed them short of having, even if they had like a dogman sighting themselves, they would have been like, how did you guys just fake that? They were to that point, but yet they meet Martin and Joe to a certain extent as well. Although Joe has been more private, you know what I'm saying? Martin's a man on a mission. He's trying to make sure that the world knows what's out there. They've met him and they've just gone, it's changed for them. You know what I'm saying? It's changed for them. And I think you're right. I think some other stories have been put out there that when they blow up, people are going to go, oh, it's all hogwash. And they're just going to wash their hands with it. And guess what?
It's kind of like it. And it kind of dashes a lot of like hopes and like belief in people, you know? And I think it just beats them down in a way.
Kaiju Ninja wants, this is a good question. What things do you think aren't real? What are you skeptical about, if anything? I don't know if I want to use the term skeptical, because that's such a loaded, the skeptics movement has become a religion where it's debunk it at all costs. It has to be impossible. So therefore you're not approaching any topic trying to look at the validity behind it. You're approaching the topic with the sole purpose of debunking it and saying it's all BS. So I won't say that I'm skeptical, but I will say this, that
you're already going into your like that's starting a murder investigation, where you don't know who the killer is, assuming that, okay, it's this guy, he's the killer, with no evidence whatsoever.
And everything I find is going to get twisted to make sure it's this guy.
Yeah, that notion really just twists everything that you find at that point.
As far as that goes, up until 10 years ago, anything that wasn't a monkey running around the woods that just hadn't been discovered yet was fake and stupid. I didn't believe in like paranormal activity. UFOs. Something might have been going on. I didn't know. I didn't really have any interest in it. Idea of Dogman was ridiculous. Now I don't know what I'm skeptical about. I know that when people approach me, because we hear some crazy stories, but then you start looking into the surrounding information. And let me take you through this analogy here real quick. somebody tells you, oh, I'm sorry, I was late for this appointment. You know, I had to stop by my bank on Main Street, and, you know, the teller, short tellers, and blah, 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 blah. And you find out there's no bank on Main Street. Then you're going, the hell? You know, look for the real world elements to a story.
Thank you for that, Sammy.
Thank you for that, Sammy. And see if those are real or not. Mm-hmm. So when you got people telling you a story that normally you would think is completely unbelievable, but the associated data all checks out, and this person seems to check out, no matter how crazy it sounds to me. I'm now going, 10 years ago, I thought all of this stuff was crazy that I now know is real. So therefore, I'm not going to make a uneducated just decision on this. Because I hear stuff that I just think I don't think that, I don't know, I'm trying to think of stuff. I used to think that like lake monsters, very large monsters and confined bodies of water were completely impossible. But there's people out there that swear they've seen it. There is some associated data that seems to back it up. What is that? How is that possible? Are these subterranean? I don't think it's subterranean.
For me, I think some of the more like kind of character, like the cartoon character kind of stuff, like the Squonk or something.
Yeah, well, you know, you've got the whole like Paul Bunyan-esque American tall tale stuff, the hide behind, you know, hoop snakes, stuff like that. But some of these weird things that there just seems to be one story of. How do you know that that's just not a one-off dimensional slip? You know, some of this stuff, if it's an interdimensional aspect of it, maybe there's a dimension out there where Sasquatch are just as commonplace as squirrels, and that's why there's a bunch of them, and that's why we see them everywhere. And some of the one-off stuff, maybe it's more rare, or maybe there's rarely a connection to that particular plane of existence. I mean, that's not crazy talk to me anymore. Yeah. I mean, that used to be, I used to start hearing like, oh, interdimensions, this, whatever. That's just but then you start to go, there's a science, we don't know. We think that's scientifically possible. You know, we don't know what's real. You start tying into how weird consciousness is and how that has an effect on the reality around us. Maybe it's not impossible. So I don't know, man. I mean, I had a problem with lake monsters, but now I'm going, people are seeing something. I don't know. I am skeptical. If I have to be skeptical of anything, it is stories that seem to be constructed for mass acceptance. You know what I'm saying? Oh. With no corresponding bits of reality to it. And I'll tell you who not to talk about Martin anymore, but tell you who I love is Mike Woolley. Mike Woolley's Sasquatch Encounter. I was in a tree stand. This is what I saw. That's all I'm going to tell you. I don't know. 10 years later, what happened, Mike Woolley? It's in a tree stand. This is what I saw. I don't know. All right. It's a story.
I was in the tree stand and my loins burned.
People who take it sounds like it's written fiction. Mm-hmm. That raises my suspicion.
And I think that's why sometimes
people who seem like they're more running for political office when they're telling a story that was supposedly traumatic for them.
Yeah.
Because again, I know Martin gets tired of hearing his name mentioned on this podcast, but you see Martin and trauma affects people different ways. Mm-hmm. Martin displays symptoms of PTSD. Okay. Everybody admits that. You know what I'm saying? And Martin will be able to he's a warm guy who wants you to know what's going on out there. Okay. And it's gotten easier for him to tell his story a little bit, you know, but if you notice, Martin will sometimes be holding it together, telling his story, and then he'll just remember a small detail and he'll struggle to get through the rest of it. Emotion takes him over. And other people, it's routine. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to laugh at this moment. So yeah, that's what kind of raises my hackles a little bit. And I'm not saying it's completely fake because again, people deal with trauma in different ways, but I look at it and I just go, am I seeing somebody reciting a story, or am I seeing somebody who lived through something that shook the very foundations of their being, and now they're trying to explain to somebody without sounding crazy?
Yeah.
Listen to Martin. People ask Martin questions and he'll be like, I have no clue.
And he's trying to work through it himself.
Yeah.
And trying to come to terms. you know.
In one of the small town monsters things, they ask him something, and he just, I think it's an Alex's one that he does, and he just goes, "I do not know, sir. I don't know. I can just tell you what happened to me, and I've thought about it over the years, and I've got some ideas, but some of this stuff I don't know." You know, so that's what gets me is a little bit, you know.
There's two comments that are not connected, but I think that in my mind they're connected just because they're in the chat together. Joe's becoming a really good speaker. The devil manifested.
Oh, God.
I just don't know why I did that. I do have some things up here just from earlier in the episode that I've starred. Azrael Darkheart always has something very insightful to say. I always look forward to an Azrael Darkheart of Nocturnal Investigations comments in the chat. If many old things are proven real and mankind sees how many things both government and religion have hidden and lied about, they will start to see just how not powerful they are.
So somebody comes out at a podium, they're wearing like a uniform, bunch of medals on them, high ranking
Epaulets.
Yes, 3 of them somehow. Anyway, they tell you it's true. A lot of it's true. There are non-human intelligences, if you want to call them aliens, that's fine. They're visiting our planet. They're abducting people. We can't stop it. I can't promise you that tonight you're not going to get abducted from your bedroom. We literally have no way. We've tried to communicate with them. We've tried to bargain with them. That has failed. It's real. There's really nothing you can do to stop it. There's nothing we can do to stop it. No questions, and they just walk off. Or they come out and go, listen, there are creatures that we don't really know what they are. We don't know where they come from. They're here for a while, then they leave. We've had varying degrees of success trying to kill them. They're taking people in national parks. Sometimes they're taking people in their own homes. We don't have a real good handle on the situation, even though we put a lot of resources into it. We just figured y'all should know. Not quite sure if guns are effective. Maybe give it a try. We don't know. It's kind of outside our ability to control. People would flip.
Yes.
What was that?
Oh, he's just going to say that and then peace out.
Oh, and then peace out. Is that what they do? They would tell all that and then they would give a peace out?
Yeah,
So,
just, you know.
So you're exactly right. You would all of a sudden start going, why am I paying all these taxes?
TTYL.
Yeah.
Pork Chop Express.
I must still apply Occam's razor to a lot of it. I'm going to say this. I'll get to that in a minute. Every haunted house can't be haunted. Debunking leads us to the truth, and then faith is what's left over. Again, but here's the deal. If you approach a case on its own merits and you don't instantly go, all haunted houses are fake. Therefore, I'm throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Oh, there's hoaxes that go on. There's hoaxes. And again, you're going to get hoaxed. I'm going to get hoaxed. Everybody here is going to get hoaxed. There's going to be things that we believe that end up being not true. Don't let that make you predisposed to not believe the next case. People have got to just go, I'm going to approach every case on its own merits. There are people that have made up stories for attention. There are people that have made up stories for money. There are people that have made up stories maybe to just, like Jesse said, knowing that eventually they're going to get proven fake because that way it taints the waters, it muddies the waters a little bit.
We recently watched Late Night with the Devil, and
Damn, that was good.
That's so good.
Was
It's
so
so
good.
good. You got to watch it. There was a character on there that was just a hardcore skeptic.
He's the James Randi character.
Yeah.
He's the, yes.
And it just, no matter what, it was just to disprove, no matter what. There has to be, it didn't believe in any of this.
This is
no
all
matter
done
what
with
you
smoke
saw.
and mirrors.
Even recreated some stuff. And of course it's a movie, it's all narrative, but he nailed that character so well because it was so just, incredulous and just so angry and just so aggressive about debunking that there is no magic in the world. There is nothing fantastical. We know everything. And it's that hardcore just believing and not believing that is as detrimental as the fakery.
We talked about this case last week. The lady who got in contact, the lady who we saw talking about it online near us, who lived near us, it said monkeys were coming out of the trees at night and attacking our dogs. And we were psyched for this. What do we got, like juvenile Sasquatch? Like, what's happening here, And her neighbor had peacocks, and she was hearing the peacocks scream, and then she thought it was monkey sounds. grounds, and her dogs were going into the tree line, and peacocks are meaner than hell. And her dogs were coming running back out. So she thought monkeys were attacking her dogs. She wasn't trying to hoax anyone. This is legit what she thought. But a few minutes there, you quickly learned what was really going on. We shook that off and then went to the next case and didn't carry any of that with us. Okay. Which means that if some of them are debunked or proven fake, you are right. There's stories out there that aren't real that people think they are. You approach it on its own merits. You look at that individual case, and then if it's fake, you shake it off and go on to the next one. Because I thought the idea of Dogman was ridiculous. I thought the LBL was a internet invention and that it was all fake and it was something that just took off online and it was creepypasta and it was a crazy story. But there is something going on at the LBL. And I had to stand there and go, I was wrong. I was wrong. And that was a valuable lesson for us. So yeah, and Occam's razor cuts both ways, man. It's a blade that cuts both ways. Sometimes the easiest answer ain't the answer, And just because something sounds impossible doesn't mean it's not possible. And sometimes it's something you never would have guessed is like the answer to it then, So sometimes zebras did get loose from a zoo and ran through your neighborhood, and it wasn't horses after all. So, not all the time, but it happens, man.
Thank you to everyone in the chat who's complimenting my looks tonight, by the way. God, all these women, look at how cute I am. But I know that's an aside. We're getting close to the end now. I'm going to go, and there's a couple things we need to address.
I want to say this real quick. Jack the Rack the Jipper.
Yeah.
How many times I've heard the American Werewolf and London Screams on supposed Bigfoot Screams videos. Do yourself a favor and look up those sound effects here on YouTube. We are in the day and age where you cannot, if I see something that's on TikTok and it's just a 15-second clip, I might look at it and go, that's interesting, and then I don't waste any more mental energy on it.
Yeah.
Anything that is going to come out that is legit is going to have backstory. It's going to have some context to it. It's not just going to be somebody going, I have the cryptid find of the century. I'm just going to show you 15 seconds of it, and then I'm going to move on to the next thing.
And another thing, Joe sent me an image right before we did the show. He's like, hey, have you seen this before? And I was like, send me the image, because I have Google Lens on my phone. I can use Google Lens and backtrack it instantly. You can't pass off stuff like that anymore. And especially, it makes no sense. If anybody's going to say this is the find of the century, like you were saying, I'm going to TikTok it here. And it's just kind of a seek for virality.
If we ever get crazy video or audio footage, you are going to see the footage that led up to it, what was going on when it happened, and then what happened afterwards. There's going to be context to it. Even if it's just maybe us cutting the camera on real quick going, what did you hear? What did you hear? I mean, there's going to be, and then it's going to be us going towards it, us trying to find out something. We're not going to ever just deliver a 15-second clip to you and go, listen to this scream, and then not have it. Even the screams you put up as a clip, you're going to do a video on that.
I'm going to put that
and
up.
You can even hear us talking and going, what is it? It sounds like,
Oh, you definitely hear me going, be quiet, Joe.
So it is but yeah, that's the thing is that, as AI and all this gets more prevalent, people are going to have to do their due diligence. However, don't let the AI fakes discourage you from the fact that there is real stuff going on out there.
So I have a couple of things here. We're going to get hammered out before we ramble on out of here, ramblers. Jeff Rawls asked earlier, any chance you guys will be at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference that's in Gatlinburg?
Don't know. We
don't know. The storm put us behind, and then we did the manor, and then we did, a 4-day situation at the Brown Mountain Lights. That put us behind on a lot of stuff too. Yeah. I have a mountain of footage I'm working on. So I don't know if we can take a weekend to go do that. We would like to. A bunch of our friends are going to be at that, but I don't know if we're going to be able to take the time to do it because we've got a lot of work to do and catch up on our own stuff.
So we might try, but it's.
And then we also have to prepare for the Tennessee Wildman and Cryptid
that we're speaking at. So
we're gonna August 10th.
We're gonna do something.
McMinnville, Tennessee.
So we may. I don't know. All right, what else?
Up in the air. EDP, Everyday Pyro, says, I got to watch Dogman Territory. Was it on Small Town Monsters? So if you were a Kickstarter supporter for Small Town Monsters, you already have access to Dogman Territory, the beast between the land between the lakes. It's a long, very, very long title. But it's Dogman Territory, and it focuses on the land between the lakes and the beast of the land between the lakes. You would have access to that right now if you were a Kickstarter contributor for Small Town Monsters. That's why a bunch of people have already seen it. And that's the main feature for the Land Between the Lakes saga. Eli Watson recently put out one. Alexander Petikoff put one out, a month ago, a little over a month ago, that we were both in. But the main feature that is the big documentary that is available to the Kickstarter folks now. And it will be available to the public coming up. It's going to be on video on demand. I know for sure. So we're going to have a nice watch party here.
And we are apparently awesome at it.
Where everybody seems to just love us. Love us. Shocker.
Breakout performance of the year is how I've heard it described, Jesse.
What do you think, Bob?
What do you think, Bob Lazar? Bristol even said that. He was like, awesome job on Dogman Territory.
We were really excited to do that. That was a joy and a pleasure and an honor to take part in. We really, really enjoyed it.
All right, let's see what else we got.
Trying to look at other things I have marked. Oh,
I just want to throw this up that Hawk had said earlier. Yeah, dudes in black, fatigue, show up at my property at night. They followed me and anybody else who visited my place.
Yeah.
And he is a very credible individual. So extremely credible. Reverend PC kind of said the same thing on that. Numerous people come up to me and said, just leave it alone or else. So this was a random one from earlier. A paramedic asked if you got a response from Petikoff on that. I don't know what that's in response to.
Oh, that's where I roasted him over an open flame.
Oh, yes.
That one's underneath it. They were in, yes.
There we go.
Because I was talking about being a crazy woman.
From the famous Alex Petikoff cannibalism joke.
I guess Alex watched it after we did the show last week and texted Joe about it.
It was just like, good God, man.
Yeah. So
good God, man.
Everything's fine. He's sending me some footage so I can finish my Brown Mountain Lights project. We're cool. I would never, I want the people to know that Lou Elizondo would never off himself, and I would never consume the flesh.
Unless it was absolutely necessary.
Of Alexander Petikoff. I would never consume the flesh of Alexander Petikoff. Just let that be known. This is an official statement from Hellbent Holler. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, everybody seems to like everybody is really raving about that doc. We're gonna have a little watch party here. Katie's gonna come and we're gonna watch that documentary and check it out. I know that there's a lot of I've heard amazing things about it. Yeah. So
I've heard good stuff.
Have we had a creepy person? Did I miss something?
What happened?
Dawn C said something about that I have to worry about creepy people. I don't know. Who knows?
What? Oh, I think this was that we have attractive women on the Bigfoot community, the boots on the ground. They have to worry about creepy dudes more than we get a little, to the same thing. I mean, we've had death threats and we're small potatoes, man,
We've also had a visit from the FBI.
Yeah, well, that was that
was part of it.
That was
and we've had some crazy threats lobbed our way because we talked about something that people didn't want us to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot because of the LBL, because people try to control that LBL narrative.
Yeah, mainly because of the LBL.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's weird because there are people that try to control that narrative, and they were trying to push out anybody who really talked about it, and it was systematic. They were going from person to person to person to person, and they, that we had that guy that was gonna, what did he call us? Like left-wing nut job? No. Oh, the guy that was gonna drive down here and chop us up that time. Lib scumbags, some scumbags, something.
Pagan
lib scumbags. Yes. So
had to work through it.
yeah.
Yeah, he was gonna chop us up or something.
He was coming down here to chop us up. The other guy was posting death threats and sending people to the house and doing everything like that. So,
yeah. So
crazy times, man.
good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah, if you have a problem with how we investigate anything, just don't watch it.
Yeah,
You know,
there's no need to threaten to kill us.
It's
no need
easier.
to, you know.
But we're not up to the level of Lazar or anybody yet. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day we'll be
right.
But yeah, we're gonna probably call it at that. If anybody has anything else, let me know. Put it in the chat. We will hit that before we cut on out of here. It is a taco night here at the Doyle house, so I gotta get to cooking shortly and get back to work. Hit the editing suite and get back to editing some stuff. Keep an eye out. I'm gonna try to get some content out for you guys, and I think we're gonna try to do a members live
stream.
investigation
Yes.
very soon.
Get back into the
because now we are done.
Saddle.
Hopefully, with all of the craziness, we're done with it. So, yeah.
And again, if you enjoy our stuff and you want to show some support, we do have our membership program up. The members are what's keeping this going right now. They're keeping us in equipment. We are going out into some difficult. Thank you for that, Lisa.
Lisa Johnson.
We're
under the wire. Thank you, ma'am.
Trying to stay tech heavy, so when things happen, we do capture it and we can share it with you all.
That's the goal.
Not another campfire story, but damn, it's difficult. Anyway, like I said, we had to take this weekend to go through and test some stuff and try to get some stuff working.
Get the water and sand out of everything.
Stuff, and damn, it was rough. So.
I can't wait. I do want to say, I can't wait for you guys to check out everything that happened on the Brown Mountain.
The Brown Mountain thing is
expedition.
Got it all. This is how
we talked about it last week. We went and kind of told the story and everything,
Yeah.
but the footage is
Thank
bananas.
you, Hawk. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Hawk. Thank you so much. The footage is bananas. I showed some of the footage last week of Alex's perspective from Wiseman's Overlook, and I showed it to some people at work, and everybody's like, "Whoa, that's crazy!" So we're super excited. I'm excited to get that out. I'm trying to put it together in a really cool way. I'm waiting on Alex to send me some footage.
What's cool about this is generally one of a couple things that's happened. You'll have like a video where people are talking about things that happened. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're interviewing witnesses. Maybe they're just recounting the stories themselves. Maybe they're out investigating a spot where something happened previously. Okay. Maybe recently, maybe more in the distant past. Okay. Something that's happened where there. The Brown Mountain Lights footage is we go there to investigate something that multiple people have seen, that we ourselves saw and filmed
for like hundreds of years.
We go there with somebody who is more skeptical than we are. He tries to maintain, Alex Petikoff tries to maintain that skeptical nature.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, I'm open to anything, man. You got to prove it to me, but I'm open to anything. We're there the first night and we all witnessed the lights and we filmed the lights, but they look different than what we saw the previous year.
Yeah.
One of them was kind of similar. But then the next night, we try to recreate them in order to debunk it. And we do stuff that, quite honestly, and when we were doing this, I said, this is where us being so weird is going to pay off. Because nobody else is going to go, oh, I've got some lasers and some red flashlights and some infrared strobes and a searchlight in the back of the truck right now.
Yeah.
Why don't we hike that up to the mountain where the lights came from? Well, where do you guys want to be at? Oh, we want to hike up to where the lights are coming out of, because if the lights emerge, I want to be there to see it, you know.
That would have been, and honestly, it wasn't a scary place. It
feels magical.
It feels magical.
Are there and you're going, there's magic in the world.
It feels so magical. And
There's
we even talked about that.
world.
However, at the same time, I was like, what if one of these lights start to kick off and emerge, and then you and I just get Travis Walton out of here, you know?
But it's so cool. So you're going to see all that. You're going to see everything when we get to our effects to try to like debunk it. It's just cool. This is probably one of the cooler things we've ever done.
Thank you, Grace W.
Thank you, Grace.
Grace loves the Brown Mountain stuff. I think Grace and my mother are like the biggest Brown Mountain Lights video fans in the world. I'm just so excited in that. And of course, that first night that we saw the lights, I was like, oh man, we had Alex with us. And I was like, God, I hope we can see them. Cause like Alex is coming all the way from up north. And I was like, I hope he gets to see them, So we're sitting there and we're watching, and then we start to see them. And we're just all crammed on that little overlook, and we're filming it. And Alex is just getting excited. We're all getting excited. I'm just like slapping him, going, "Oh my God, dude! Oh my God!" And we were just so excited. So I'm excited for you guys to see it again, to see us see them.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Moondog suggests we do not get probed like Travis.
Do not get probed. So we are. Keep your notifications on. We got some stuff coming up.
Yep.
Somebody, as a matter of fact, had asked.
And members, you'll be getting a live investigation soon, because we are itching to get back out and do some live members investigation.
We have got some experiments that we want to do, that we want to share in real time.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about our Brown Mountain footage. We were sharing that real time. We were sharing that live to people all over the world when it was happening. Again, if it's just filmed, somebody could go, those Help and Holler guys, they've got a deal worked out with Industrial Light and Magic to like come in and do the special effects on their videos, This was like real time. It was done live. So we've got some experiments we want to do in some areas real time live and share what happens as they happen. And then we've got report backlog right now. We've got emails backed up like you wouldn't believe, to go out and do some just regular field investigations. That won't be live stream, but we'll be filming with the cameras we have left. We got to figure out some workarounds and some of that too, by the way. But we'll be having that come up. But we've got some stuff. We're back in the saddle. Storm damage is done. Knock on wood. That's it for all of us.
I don't think this is real wood.
It's good enough for me. And so we got some crazy stuff coming up.
Yeah. Thank you, Tennessee Outlaw. I've stayed with this channel because you both try to debunk all you find. Oh, we go to the extreme for Brown Mountain.
Now, here's the deal. When I debunk stuff, I'm just trying to cover all bases.
Yeah. Because if there's a explanation for what we get and we get too excited about it and put it out there, we don't want
idiot.
That. Yeah.
Even like that thermal image we got in the LBL, I'm going, what is this? It's not a bear. It's not a coyote.
Of course, you went to the escaped kangaroo first.
Is that an escaped kangaroo? Like, what am I seeing here? What could have it? It looks like a big bat, So we try to think our way through this stuff. Just because we're open to bizarre stuff doesn't mean, again, we approach irrational topics in a rational manner. I'm not saying that it's impossible that this happened, but I want to think my way through it, and that's the best you can do.
Yeah.
Anyway,
those are good words to part upon.
There we go. Check out the brain on Joe. So
Joe's doing a good job tonight. I think we need to all acknowledge that. All right, guys. Thank you for watching another groovy episode of Hell Bent Holler Live, our weekly discussion show. This is a whirlwind of a show. I really enjoyed it.
We're all over the damn place. Anyway, we're back in the groove, man. We got our groove back. Hell Bent Holler got their groove back. So
make sure you watch out for the escaped monkeys. Don't get probed like Travis Walton. And keep an eye out for those men in plaid. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Let's see us out, Mr. Doyle. Thank you. Have a good night. Let's kill it. What we got? We got a new song? We do have a new song.
The song I just played was new at the beginning of it. There's no song.
There's no song.
What the hell's going on here?
There it is.